Okay, so let's move on to the last selection of the night. Ben, what did you pick?
What's up? I don't know, some YouTube. I was on YouTube looking up Hot Fuzz stuff because goddamn,
like
I love
you
that
do.
movie.
Yeah.
And then one of the related videos was just some guy, like, it had some bait click title of, like, the most expensive scene in Hot Fuzz. I'm like, alright, I'm interested. You got me. Well done. I clicked on it. I saw this guy breaking down how, like, one of the most innocuous, if that's the right term, one of the littlest scenes in the movie ended up being the most expensive. It is the part where Simon Pegg and Nick Frost sit down on a couch, watch Point Break, and then reference it
and Bad Boys.
And Bad Boys 2. Reference them
Later
two times later on the movie. And also at one point where, I think it was Simon Pegg's at the counter, looks back at a DVD rack and sees those movies, and I forget if he buys them or not, but just the fact of seeing them
it's what makes him turn back and go back to the village.
That's right. But those two little parts of the movie ended up being the most expensive because since they referenced another movie and showed two clips, a scene from that, they had to get the rights and basically have
written permission
from everyone
in the scene
and the rights from the studios, I suppose, themselves to show that 2-second clip both of this movie itself and of every DVD on the rack. I'm like, that's ridiculous.
It kind of is.
It's ridiculous, and I can devil's advocate the other way of like, well, no, they need to for XYZ, but I'm like, that's out of and the point that's even made in the video. A movie that shows explosions, has gunfights, a fucking huge shootout. You need to see the
I'm
fucking
going
movie.
to when you get to your week.
I know. But, and then there was a fist fight in a model village.
Yeah, that was really good.
So good. But out of all of that entire movie, the most expensive scenes were just showing other movie titles. And I'm like, that's... I don't know. It like confuses me, and then at one point I'm like, well, again, even referenced in the video, there are some TV shows that like have obviously Mac laptops that have to cover up the Apple stickers so they don't have to call up Apple and be like, hey, is it okay if we use your product in our thing? Because Apple is within their rights to say no if they don't want to support that product.
Right. And he also brought up the point that they saved a few bucks by using copies of Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, that's true. And on that movie rack, Shaun of the Dead is one of them.
Yeah, in the bargain bin.
I was like, all right, so how many, you know, with stuff like that, how many directors have tried to save money by just putting in movies that they have directed or own or stuff like that? I picked this because I thought it would be a fun little discussion, and then I could rant for a little bit, even though I have no point. I just wanted to be animated about something.
Okay, yeah.
So what do you
have
guys
a goal.
think?
Have a goal.
I thought he just did that so he could show off how much trivia he knows. Because then the rest of the video...
It was trivia, yeah.
Well, yeah, I forgot to tell you guys, you can stop at the trivia point, but...
I did, trust me.
Okay.
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 I think that was a good point.
I feel like I just ranted about nothing, and then no one really has a point. Now I'm just rambling more to try to cover up for it.
Okay, a couple of points.
Great.
One thing that Tom just mentioned before he left about what was...
Having to go to the bathroom?
No, before that. Just slightly before that. No, he mentioned the point about using the copy of Shaun of the Dead to save money. He was specifically talking about the bargain bin.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though, that they had already gotten the license for all those movies that were on the shelf later. Shaun of the Dead was there as a little nod to say, hey, look, we made Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, yeah, that one's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
Also, what you said earlier, which he did harp on, of the idea that using the clips and the DVD covers was the most expensive part of the movie. No one connected to the film has ever said that.
Okay.
What he's talking about with the licensing came from an interview, I think, with MovieWeb. Yeah, let me see in my notes here. Yeah, MovieWeb. An interview with... I keep wanting to call him Edgar Winter. I know that's wrong.
Right.
Edgar Wright. an interview with Edgar Wright, where the question was, so that scene where they watch Point Break, you had to get, like, permission to use that, right? And the answer was basically, yes. I mean, then he elaborates that, you know, he had to get permission from each person in there, including Patrick Swayze's stunt double.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if he was kidding, because that was his last point, and he is a comedy writer. But, you know, it makes sense because it is footage of the stuntman doing his job, so I could see how you'd need permission. But boy, howdy, did Carl Smallwood ever harp on that little detail. But and then he goes on to say, yeah, it was even harder to get the shot of the DVD rack, and we have a guy credited for doing that. And that's it. There's no follow-up question. So anyway, so that interview was linked in an article, I think, on the IFC website a little bit later. In 2014. The original interview was 2007. So the IFC was like 10 things you didn't know about Hot Fuzz.
Oh my gosh. Oh no, I've fallen for something here, haven't I?
So now let's talk about Cracked.com.
Oh no. Oh no. I've made a mistake, guys. Do your research. I didn't.
So yeah, shortly after the IFC article, there was an article on Cracked.com about, what the hell did they call it? Extremely minor movie scenes that cost a fortune to film. Written by Carl Smallwood. Let's talk about the history of Cracked.com right now.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so Cracked started out obviously as a ripoff of Mad Magazine.
Yes.
And once that stopped being like a viable business option, it started getting passed from one company to another, trying to figure out what the fuck to do with this and make money. They made a website. The website was shit. Nobody went to the website.
Yep.
They handed it over to this guy, Jack O'Brien, to edit. And he, I think on the advice of Pinkerton, Jay Pinkerton, he was one of the writers on Portal 2.
Oh, yeah.
On the advice of Jay Pinkerton, they hired this guy named David Wong, real name Jason Pargin, who was the writer on a site called Pointless Waste of Time, which Jay Pinkerton had written for, so they were friends. And what David Wong came up with was one of the most brilliant things, like, in the history of the internet, and two, one of the things that ruined the discussion of film and culture on the internet, although it seemed like a good idea at the time. See, his website had a forum called the Pointless Waste of Time forums. I was on there at the time. Fairly active member at the time. So his idea was take the entire forum, move it to Cracked.com, and use it as basically a mine for writers. Create a whole new section of the forum, call it the workshop, have people pitch articles. Any random asshole pitches an article, and if they like it, you write the goddamn article. And here's the thing, at the time, Pointless Waste of Time was a nice little tight community with a lot of creative people on it. So for the first year or two after David Wong came on, there was actually really good content on Cracked.com. The way we looked at it was, we were taking the format of the shitty Cracked.com website, which had, like, I think the best article they had on there when we came on was, like, 10 celebrities you won't believe aren't actually gay.
Okay,
it's
that's...
like, just the dumbest fucking, like...
clickbait.
Just hollow, shitty clickbait. That was the best one because it was the only one written by somebody who could write. And they were trying to find, like, magazine writers and other shit, experienced writers to write. And David Wong was like, nope, fuck it, just anybody. What do we got? And so, yeah, we thought we were creating, like, something new. You take the format of clickbait, but actually deliver on what is promised in the title. It was things that you didn't know about things that you were familiar with, movies, culture, science, history. You didn't know about it, but now you really want to know, and it's really interesting stuff. And we kept that going for a little while, but then you know what happened?
Ran out of things to
We ran out of things that were genuinely fucking interesting about things you already knew. And it became a goddamn scramble.
Uh-huh.
So it went from the model of a writer writing an article, pitching an article, and writing an article and having it published to, and I think this started pretty soon, somebody pitches an article that has ideas, they do research, and then they get the finished article and they're like, what the fuck is this shit? Give it to a writer, call him an editor, and then publish that.
We've come full circle.
A lot of people were complaining, actually, that my whole article got rewritten. Strangely enough, Carl Smallwood, not one of the ones complaining. He was one of the smart ones who took all of these credits he now has as a writer and was like, I'm a writer, yep. He wrote for, like, Listverse and a couple other sites, I think. I never edited any of his stuff, because he came in as I was, like, leaving, because I was like, they kept giving me articles like the 60-minute explosion thing. Like, I can't fix this, and I'm sorry, but they must have been so pissed off at me. There's nothing I could do with these articles. So yeah, Carl Smallwood entered at this point where it just became, instead of clickbait that actually delivers on what it promises, it was just another kind of clickbait. And yeah, so I actually went into the forums and looked at his original draft of the Cracked article that this video came from. It is so long, holy shit. It just goes on and on and on every point. Jesus Christ. So kudos to whoever edited that one and turned it into something that was actually like a readable length, because, wow, congratulations, man. I could not have done that. So, yeah, this is where Carl Smallwood, the creator of FIEND, comes from. Crack.com. It's not my fault. I didn't make him. I only wrote a couple of those articles.
That's okay.
It's not me, but I was there when the clay was formed, basically. So he is definitely of that clickbait mentality. You can see a lot of it in his site. The sort of hyperbolic title. You know, what was the title of this video? It was something like...
The simplest scene in Hot Fuzz was one of the hardest to film.
Yeah. Which, one, it's not the simplest scene in the film. There are a lot of conversation scenes in that film that are very simple. And two, wasn't the hardest to film. They just shot two people sitting on a couch.
Oh, right.
Yes.
They should have said one of the more expensive to film or something like that.
Except, again,
it wasn't.
No one has ever said that it was.
Okay.
By the way, FIEND started out as a website that he started, FIEND.com. And to be honest, I actually watched a few of his FIEND videos just normally before you suggested it. Because, to be fair to Carl Smallwood, this is actually what he's good at. He's very personable. There's a nice little relaxed banter between him and his cameraman / editor. He's actually comes across as very likable and very casual, which is kind of weird considering how much of this video is word for word taken from the article that he put up on his website like a year before he made the video. Word for word.
Wow. That's tough to do, I think.
Wow.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, you got to give him credit.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, I saw the article, which again is just one of his bullet points. That's what his whole website and channel is. It's individual bullet points from cracked articles expanded to full videos. Which, remember, you know, the length of his original draft. That makes sense with Carl Smallwood. A lot of words on the man.
Yeah.
He does like words. He's not good with them, but he writes a lot of them. But again, he comes across as very personable. I like that. like like I said, the interaction with the editor. However, this is probably coincidence, but recently I saw this video by Lindsay Ellis where she's talking about sort of artificial authenticity on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So there was this channel about making cakes. I think it was called How to Cake It.
Okay.
And just sort of in the middle of one video, the woman making the cakes like starts bantering with her producer. And as the show went on, that it became more popular, sort of based on that dynamic. So she's talking to her editor, who, as he's watching this and editing, she's talking to like her other crew, and it's cool, You can sort of hear them in the background, but not really. So like a year after that started, another channel comes out with a dude making cakes and bantering with his off-camera crew, only now they're all mic'd. I think that was Man About Cake. And apparently that YouTube show was created just so they could sell it to a TV network.
All right.
So now I'm watching Fact Fiend as he banters with his cameraman, who is clearly mic'd, and you can hear every word he says. And he started his channel a year after Man About Cake came out. And I'm like, this is probably a coincidence, but come on. Oh, speaking of familiar formats, I mean, you've watched videos on Cracked, right?
A few, yeah. They weren't very good.
They weren't very good, but there's a certain similarity there, too, where this is sort of like Cracked TV, but without, like, the Michael Swaim character thing going on. Sort of like Obsessive Pop Culture Disorder, but without a desk. And, without numbered lists. So, yeah, definitely like Obsessive Pop Culture Disorder without a desk. He even had the green screen.
That was Cody, right?
No, that was actually Dan O'Brien.
Oh, okay. Oh, right, yeah. Okay.
I remember Obsessive Pop Culture Disorder because their first episode was one of the bullet points from one of my Cracked articles. So they had to like email me and say, "Oh, hey, you've got a credit on the new Cracked video." I'm like, "Yeah, thanks, guys." To be fair, it was the best one of that series. Yeah. So it's I'm not saying that Fact Fiend's like YouTube channels like bullshit necessarily. It's just
Hyperbolized.
it feels artificial because of all this stuff.
It did when I listened to it, and I
Right?
should have followed my gut. I fucked up, but also
You didn't fuck up. It's an interesting.
It is.
To me, at least, it's an interesting
Gave us more to
subject.
talk about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's really all I wanted. I'll be honest. I found that video like 2 days before Steve Kane was like, "Hey, do you have an article?" I'm like, "Well, I've got this one covered."
There you go. There you go. You did seem very excited to have this one covered. I was happy about that.
Yay! I did. It was interesting. Now, not for the reasons I was anticipating, but it was cool to talk a little bit about the copyright shit. And then the more I'm talking about it, the more I'm like, this doesn't add up. Why? Oh, Steve, thank you. Now I know.
So with all this, it's kind of interesting to me that he has a video on his second channel called Selling Out? No Thanks. Where he talks about, okay, if you're a YouTube channel and you get a certain number of views, you will get a lot of pitches, a lot of pitch emails. And the one he's talking about here was, I understand why you rejected it. It's like an advertising company coming at him saying, hey, we'll give you an editor. He already has an editor. And who will basically just cut out all your swear words and make your stuff more acceptable for our advertisers so you can make money. And he's like,
Fuck that.
he's like, fuck you. And I get it, but just the fact that he made that video and the fact that there's all this stuff, I don't know. And
I mean, we're about to sell out.
He's really self-righteous, right? Yes, Tom makes a good point. Tom makes a good point because we do get a lot of weird emails, much like Carl here must. Like the weirdest one they wanted us to sell was a Russian cryptocurrency pump and dump scheme. And I was like, in good conscience,
Steve, why Why didn't you tell me
Oh,
about
we could have had
this?
the new Bitcoin.
Oh, my economics degree is burning in my pocket now.
But they wanted us to put it up as like a scroll along the bottom of our video.
Oh my god.
I told them I can't necessarily endorse something like that, and they go away.
Mm-hmm.
They go away. There's one guy who wanted us to just basically just give a positive review to his movie for money. And boy howdy, looking at that trailer, I don't think we could have.
No.
That's the one I was
It wasn't
anticipating
before you
getting.
too.
No. This I don't remember the title, but
Because
it
we
was,
did get a good offer from them.
To be fair, if we had
They
not
didn't give us
liked
money.
if we had not liked the film, we would have given it a negative review, and then been very nervous on the whole trip home.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wouldn't have made it home.
But we didn't need to. The
Yeah.
film was good on its own.
Yeah.
So anyway, I figured this was a good video to. You might be wondering about right over there, the thing that says "sponsored" on the screen right now. Hey, we got our first sponsor, and they are shady.
I don't.
They're okay with that. I think they're okay with me saying. Basically, okay, so they come at us with a pitch, like a lot that we get. The idea is that they're a service online that offers college degrees for much less money and effort than normal college degrees. You've heard about diploma mills? Well, howdy do. I love how fucking blatant they are about it, too. It's delightful. So I look at this and I'm like, well, this is really interesting, especially since we're about to do this thing about this guy who has a video that says, selling out, no thanks. And so but I'm like, dude, I cannot endorse this. And I tell them I can't endorse this, but hey, if you want me to say this looks really sketchy, but say, hey, if you're a gambling man, go for it. Then we can. And they said, yeah, sure. So I'm like, yes, this is what we are sponsored by. So if you decide to against my ethical advice, go to swiftdegree.com/WTF. That is Swift as in fast, degree as in a diploma.com, as in whatever that stands for, /WTF as in what the fuck. Go for it. According to them, it'll get you a $200 discount. So, according to them, that's down from $500 for a degree to $300 for a college degree. Really?
Do it.
Right? I'm tempted.
I've looked at their website. It is literally, you enter your payment information and your name and the kind of degree you want, and there's your degree. You want to know how shady this is? Tom, you have a media studies diploma
Hell yeah!
from University.
Fuck yeah, I do.
By the way, it's not actually called University. They just don't want us to mention the name of the university.
Okay.
Because obviously then the name of that university will be in a video explaining exactly how you can go there and get a degree for $300 without actually like proving that you know anything about the subject. They use the honor system. They say, yeah, you definitely have to have 4 years of experience in this field. So keep that in mind. Mind you, it's probably smart to have 4 years of experience in the field you get this degree for.
Can I get a degree in entomology?
You could.
Holy shit.
Using swiftdegree.com.
/WTF. You could, theoretically.
I've got about 10 years experience.
Keep in mind, though, okay, this is the weird part. They actually, by the way, in their email response to me, encouraged us to use such phrases as, how is this legal? Because that's the weird thing, it is.
It is?
It is.
It is. It's unethical, but it is legal.
Oh, wow.
Well, shit.
Because this is just as valuable as any other unaccredited degree.
This is true.
It's just as good as a degree from Trump University, as Ben mentioned when we were talking about this earlier.
That I did. And you'd pay a lot more money for that degree.
And probably spend a little more time on it.
Probably.
Yeah.
But also, you get a big discount if you go to swiftdegree.com/WTF.
That is true.
And you'll have the same degree.
Same value. Yes, same value as
when-
from Trump University.
Exactly.
And you won't be putting any money in Trump's pocket.
Well, you might be. I don't honestly know. I don't know these people.
Good point.
Honestly, I did a search when they approached me on swiftdegree.com. You know what I found?
Swiftdegree.com?
This. Swiftdegree.com, no other information because they have requested no other information be available
Oh dear.
through Google.
You can do that?
Same thing when I looked up University.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
However, okay, so there is a university link that you can put on. Obviously, this is for your what do you call it?
Resume.
Your resume. Sorry, I've never filled out a resume in my life. I just apply to jobs and then get them.
Yeah.
So you can put that on your resume, the link, and if they follow the link, it will look like a real college website. And there's a phone number they can contact, get your transcripts, for a year, mind you. They're not giving away the fucking farm here. You better get a job inside a year after you get this degree, because after that you have to pay another $100 a year to keep this going.
Ah.
But now, keep in mind, most employers aren't even going to check this far. Our employer, for example, has a long storied history of not checking things he should check.
I didn't even have to fill out a goddamn application. I just showed up.
People have claimed to have management experience with that never happened, etc. But make sure you put that URL properly on your resume and application, because if they just search on the name of censored college, they will find nothing.
And that's suspicious as hell.
It is a little suspicious. So, like I said before, this is a gamble. I do not recommend doing this.
But we do.
We don't recommend it. But look, I'm not going to stop you either.
It might help us out.
If it might, I'm not even sure if they're actually going to pay us anything.
Hey, that's a gamble we're taking.
That's the gamble we're taking.
But okay. The way this could work in your favor is if you have tons of experience in a field in a different country, but they say you need a degree in this country to get a job.
True.
Oh, yeah.
Also, for any of our audience in India who stumbled onto this video about a YouTuber from England, whatever you're into, guys, it's a degree from an American university.
Mm-hmm.
Just make absolutely sure you're applying someplace where they won't be suspicious about you living in America for the last 4 years. Like, if there's a guy working there who lives down the block from you, maybe choose someplace else. And make sure it's believable that you lived in America for the last 4 years. Just saying. Again, don't encourage this, just giving you pointers for how to do it because I'm an asshole.
It's true, he is.
But you can understand why I kind of had to go for this one. It's weird.
And they were cool with it.
The fact that they were cool with it is also weird.
Yes.
So, how could I not?
I mean, they're kind of being honest in their transparency with it, right?
In a weird way, yeah. That's actually what's so bizarre, is that it's just so blatantly, yes, pay us money, you get a degree.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's you're only paying $300 if you go to swiftdegree.com/WTF. It's right there on the screen. And yeah, I'm going to hell, but like I said, I can't actually endorse this. If you do this and it goes wrong, it's not my fault, dude. I said no. Again, a gamble. If it's a tight-knit industry where you apply to one job and they find you out and they tell everybody else in the industry, definitely don't do it then. Definitely don't do it then.
Yeah, definitely not.
And again, make sure it's something you actually know something about.
Definitely.
Yeah, not all of us are rocket scientists.
Yeah, so definitely don't get the rocket science one. Oh, by the way, your media studies degree?
Yeah, it expired, didn't it?
No, you've got a year.
Oh,
you've got a year with that one.
Holy shit.
Again, be careful putting it on your resume. By the way, they don't normally offer a media studies degree. They made this just for you.
Oh, shit!
So by the way, you at home, you might notice like a small mistake on this degree up on the screen, obviously with university blacked out. Just one tiny mistake. Just look for it. It's interesting.
Oh, great. I can't wait to look at it.
Yeah, I'll give you a copy. You can print it out. Buy a cheap frame for it. Put it up.
Expensive one.
Yeah, like, come on. If I got a fucking honorary degree, I'm gonna rub this in my parents' noses.
Yeah, I got me a media studies degree.
Yeah.
From university. You know, actually, when I first saw the name of the university, my mind immediately went, have I heard that in a radio ad recently? No, I haven't. I have not.
You don't listen to
sounds
radio.
It sounds like something you would, right? I'll give them points for that. It sounds legit until you Google it. So be careful with this one.
I have to ask, did you really ask them for one of us to get an honorary degree?
Yes,
Okay.
because you were talking about, hey, we could get honorary degrees. I'm like, I gotta get Tom a degree.
Okay, yeah!
He has to get a degree.
Yeah! I recommend it. Steve might not, but I do. Blame me for everything.
We already do.
Tom has less ethical compunctions than the rest of us. Yeah, like I said, it's a gamble. This could go very, very badly. It's not illegal. You probably won't get arrested for it, but fired, yes, but that's if you get hired.
Do you think Bob will fire me over this?
No. He's not going to give a shit. For one, you did not get hired with it.
That's true.
Oh no! Definitely don't try to use this to get
a promotion.
To get a promotion within the company you're in.
They will know something's up.
Really? 4-year degree, huh, Bob? Seems suspicious. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, this is probably going to come up in other videos as like a running gag, so look forward to that one. I mean, hell, if it pays off, I don't see it paying off, but if it does,
we have a sponsor.
Yeah, like, what the heck, I'll bring that shit back, maybe try to get somebody else a degree. Maybe raffle one, no, that'd be ridiculous.
Raffle one too.
That would be ridiculous. No.
Yes.
I'll ask them about it, but they'll probably say no on that one. They gotta have limits somewhere. I do love that they suggested the wording, how is this legal? I love
legal?
that.
Because it is.
It is.
It is. It's weird. It's unethical, but it is legal. Let's see, do I have any more notes on this one? Selling out, no thanks. Selling out, thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, the whole thing of back to Carl Smallwood, the sort of obvious information, like you kind of know that if you use somebody else's intellectual property and likeness, you have to ask permission. It's very much presented as, you won't believe.
Yeah, which, and I kind of did, because
Yeah.
it's a legal and ethical thing.
Yeah. Plus, the reference at the end to, like, things you didn't know about at the end of the video. That kind of confirms my theory that he gets all of this stuff from other people's things you didn't know about Plank articles.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's my theory, anyway. IFC kind of encourages that theory, but, you know. Again, nothing against you, Carl, but, you gotta admit, it looks a little weird, right, Carl? I mean, speaking of things that look weird, swiftdegree.com/WTF.
Oh.
Come on, Shady meets Shady. It was the perfect sponsorship opportunity.
It's true.
And I specifically chose a video that a lot of our viewers actually won't click on. I'm not sure why I did that. It's this gnawing gremlin of ethics clawing at the back of my brain. Saying, at least see if you get money from it. See, my gremlin ethics is actually closely related to my kill them all ethics. Sorry, I mixed up a lot of words, but I'm going to stick with that. Kill them all ethics. That's what I'm in favor
Yeah.
of.
Ethical genocide.
Ethical genocide, yeah.
Oh.
Kill them all and let the archaeologists sort them out.
Reference to the TV show.
Terrible thunder lizards.
Oh, yeah. That was what it was called? I forgot the title. Very generic. It was a spin-off of Eek the Cat. About dinosaurs trying to kill the first 2 human beings.
Should have.
Probably. That was
Yeah.
generally the message of the show.
Was it like biblical?
No, it
No.
wasn't Adam and Eve. It was
Okay.
2 cavemen.
The first 2 human beings were both male.
Well, you gotta figure, with
Oh
evolution...
yeah, they were really stupid. I remember
Yeah,
now.
with evolution, you gotta figure... We are on such a tangent. You gotta figure...
Yeah, we are.
Like, the level right behind them of not quite cavemen is also gonna spawn cavemen at some point. If there's only 2, it's just gonna die out in horror and inbreeding and deformity very fast.
That's true.
Few generations.
Especially since they were both dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Bob and somebody.
Yeah, one of them was Bob. It was a weird show. First few episodes were funny, and then much like Crack.com, they ran out of ideas and kept going anyway.
Yeah, and that's when we quit watching.
Yeah.
Speaking of quitting watching,